My brother broke my $1,500 laptop, and my parents didn't care, so I got revenge. Part 2. You know they say revenge is a dish best served cold. And let me tell you, I was ready to serve it ice cold. After my parents brushed off the whole laptop situation, I spent a few days just stewing in my anger. I kept thinking about all the sacrifices I'd made to buy that laptop, and the fact that my brother destroyed it without a second thought. But yelling or fighting with him wasn't going to cut it. No, I wanted to teach him a lesson he'd never forget. Now, my brother has one weakness, one thing in his life that he cares about more than anything else, his gaming console. He's glued to that thing. It's his pride and joy, his escape, his everything. If the house was on fire, I'm pretty sure he'd save the console before me. And that's when the idea hit me. If I wanted to get back at him, the console was the perfect target. But here's the thing. I didn't want to break it. That would make me just as bad as him. And honestly, I wasn't about to stoop to his level. No, I wanted to mess with him in a way that was harmless but devastating. I wanted him to feel the frustration, the helplessness, the sheer annoyance that I felt when I saw my laptop lying shattered on the floor. So I started brainstorming. I spent hours online, scrolling through forums, watching prank videos, and looking for ideas. I came across some pretty wild stuff. People putting glitter in car air vents, setting alarms to go off at random times, even hiding fish in someone's room. But none of it felt right. And then I found it. The perfect plan. Here's what I decided to do. I was going to rig his console so that every time he turned it on, it would play the sound of a baby crying. And not just any baby crying. I'm talking about the loudest, most annoying, ear-piercing baby cry you can imagine. The kind that makes you want to rip your hair out after 5 seconds. Now I know what you're thinking. How was I going to pull that off? Well, I did some digging, and it turns out there are programs you can install on devices to play custom sounds. It's actually pretty simple if you know what you're doing. And lucky for me, I've always been good with tech. The more I thought about it, the more excited I got. I could already picture the look on his face when he turned on the console and heard that sound. He'd be so confused, so frustrated, and there'd be nothing he could do about it. But I had to be careful. If I got caught messing with his console, it would ruin the whole plan. I needed to wait for the perfect moment when he wasn't around and no one would suspect a thing. So for the next few days, I played it cool. I didn't say anything about the laptop, didn't argue with him, didn't even bring it up. I wanted him to think I'd moved on. Meanwhile, I was gathering everything I needed. I downloaded the baby crying sound, tested it on my phone to make sure it was as annoying as possible, and learned exactly how to install the program on his console. The hardest part was keeping a straight face whenever I saw him playing. He'd be sitting there completely oblivious, shouting at the screen like he was some kind of pro gamer. And all I could think was, oh, just wait. Your time is coming. Finally, the opportunity came. One Saturday afternoon, he went out with his friends, and I knew this was my chance. My parents were busy in the kitchen, so I had the perfect window to execute the plan. I grabbed my tools and snuck into his room. My heart was pounding the whole time. What if he came back early? What if my parents walked in? But I couldn't back out now. I carefully opened up his console, following the instructions I'd memorized from the tutorials. I installed the program, set it to play the baby crying sound every time the console was turned on, and even added a little delay so it wouldn't start right away. That way, he wouldn't suspect anything at first. When I was done, I put everything back exactly how I found it. I made sure there were no signs that I'd been in there. It was like I was never there. As I walked out of his room, I felt this rush of adrenaline. I'd done it. The trap was set. Now all I had to do was wait for him to fall into it. And trust me, the wait was so worth it.